Hi again guys, and welcome to another tune setup, of course, a circuit setup in particular for GT Sport, and this time for a very, very popular car, hugely anticipated one as well. Not so much for me, I'm not a huge fan of the standard Z anyway of this generation, but as soon as I drove it in the game, I could tell it was a pretty amazing car. Through corners in particular, straight lines, not quite so much. But of course in N200 that's not as much of an issue, it tends to be more about the cornering anyway. Now as far as the upgrades go, I would recommend dropping the weight as much as you can, but of course balance of performance will kind of change that around anyway. As far as the power, of course you want that reduced to N200, however, as with pretty much all of my street tunes, if you want to increase the power, you can. If you want to retune it for N300 or N400, then by all means you can do that, but it's just optimised for N200 basically, because that seems to be a category where it's the most useful, at least for me. Traction control we've got turned off, of course that's down to you. As far as tyres, we've got sport softs. It's really good on sport softs anyway, so of course racing tyres will be even better. As far as the suspension, we've got the ride height on 90mm, which is only 5mm higher than the lowest. The frequency on 2, anti-roll on 7 and 6. For the dampers, we've got 62 on compression, 90 on the rebound. For the camber, 1 degree with neutral toe. Downforce, of course, doesn't apply for this one. As far as the diff, I've personally opted for the lowest on all three. I find that works really well for me. It's a little bit heavier than you might expect, but that kind of works for this car because it's got the wider track, it's very low, very compact, and pretty lightweight as well. So it still doesn't feel that heavy through corners. It just stops it from being too tail happy. And then, of course, as far as the gearbox itself, this is pretty much the primary thing that you'd want to change if you do increase the power for obvious reasons. So you want the fully customized transmission. I've gone for an auto setting of 155 miles per hour. Then for the individual gears, 2.15, 1.55, 1.25, 1050, 900, and then a final drive of 4.9. So that's it for the tune. Of course, if you do give it more power, you might want to just stretch out those gears a little bit more, especially the final drive, to allow you to get more top-end speed out of it from that power. But for N200, that's pretty much where you want it to be. So of course what you want to see is what this seemingly great new car can actually do against some of our more established rivals like NSXs and various others in N200. Now, when I did this tune after initially driving the car, I wasn't sure if I'd be able to make it as good as it initially felt. In a similar way, funnily enough, to the M3. The M3 already feels so great through corners that it doesn't feel like you necessarily need to tune it that much. But you can still make it that much quicker, of course, especially when it comes to stiffening up the suspension, reducing body roll, all that kind of stuff. And that applies here as well. It was already great, it still retains the great handling, tons of grip, but tuning the gearbox, tuning the diff that little bit more, here and there just makes up enough time for this to actually become my new quickest N200 car that I've done so far on YouTube. This is even quicker than my NSX, and the NSX was the quickest previously. So pretty impressive, the car definitely proves what it can do. It feels like a little classic race car, which is cool. So if you do decide to use this tune and this car either for N200 or if you retune it to be higher like N3 or N400, then you're going to have a lot of fun with it, I can guarantee that. Of course, balance and performance changes stuff anyway, so of course you can use the handling blueprint and then just work from there as far as power. So if you do decide to use it, I have no doubt that you can win plenty of races with it as well, and if you want to check out all of my other tunes, click right here on screen to do that. But for now, as always, thanks for watching.